The idea of having the support is you should be able to take that snare and kind of adjust the angle with it. This one's, you should be able to adjust the angle on it. This one's not grabbing the cable well enough, but ideally you still don't want that to really wrong. When you have it loose, when you have your cable loose, I don't work so much. I'm pretty sure this cable that I've got on here, it's meant for number 9 wire, and these are the supports from the PDK snares, and I'm pretty sure, yep, that's actually 10 gauge wire. It's not a little too loose. Yeah, this is 10 gauge wire. It's not 9 gauge wire, so that's why I use the metal. It's just too much of a pain to you just don't know what size wire you're using.
There's very little teeny zip tie.
Yeah, you can get those little, those work.
Those are right.
And I really love using any kind of quick sports like these. These are the H-type sports, like PDK snares. I think PDK is the only one that I've ever seen actually carry these. I know LT Ray make those, but I mean they're pretty. You can make them either weld them, or if you got the hog heavy duty hog panels, you can just cut them apart and then just grind the parts. And these are pretty much my favorite ones to want because they're cheap and you just go either you rate your guard, you get like a broken steak, you cut down, or you just go after everyone's done buying guard and they got all the garden steaks left. Go buy those when they're on sale.
Swell up the ground.
Oh yeah, you put these. Well, I used to. My snaring system used to be for raccoons. That's what the third hole of the snare is for. I run put my snare through there and crimp it. So this is my stake and support, and I've caught everything except for mink and muskrat in these. No, actually I did catch muskrat in this. I haven't caught mink in it, but I've caught up to coyotes in these. They swelled up the hole and they're square, so they can't spin on you like these will, or our ones will. No, these ones won't spin on you. But when you get into like soft ground, it's like you're in shape like snares like top of a ring or something. They still get a little tipsy. The ones that are really bad, like these are the ones the F&T shells. They're good in hard ground, but you put them in sand, they fall over, so that's no good. Especially if you're after coyotes. Beaver, you can kind of get away with it. Raccoon, kind of, you can get away with it on a raccoon. This is one I really kind of fell in love with, trapping out of my kayak, or you can do the same thing in the woods. These are like double cap pins. You bend this down. Well, like if they would still get fire up, but you just nail this into a tree. Like if you're trapping out of the kayak and you got a down tree, or you want to make a spear set, all you gotta do is nail that into the tree, and then now you got your snare workers. Then you're way too big for you have to cut that off. That's why almost all these snare supports when they make them all have extra wire, which you just cut down, make it easy. Mainly want to kind of show on making snares. I like to make things easier on myself because when you're making a ton of snares, I know a lot of guys say all you need to do make snare. You just need a hammer to hammer your barrels. You swing this a couple hundred times a day, making a bunch of snares. You're gonna need your elbow is gonna be wore out. So that's why I kind of you can actually these bench waders, you can buy them supplies for like 150 bucks, but there are some cheaper ones you can buy on like eBay for like about $70.
Yep.
Yeah, this one has, yeah, these kinds of, there's a,
I think I go $68 for mine on Amazon.
yeah.
And it's the same thing.
Yeah, you got
The same thing your
cable
suppliers.
cutter on the
So.
back of it, and a little trick. I think I showed it on my YouTube channel, but I've got my cable is on spools, and I pull it over to cut. I started taking one of these magnets and put it on this part of the jaw here where so when you cut that cable is held by the magnet, so it don't retract back along your spool. So it's still you can really get into mass production mode. You just keep pulling, cut, pull, cut. Cause my bends, I've got the markings on all my bends. So I make my snares at 24, 36, and 48 for the actual snare parts, and then I got a 6 foot and a 10 foot mark further back, so I can make. It's really cheap. I only spent 60 bucks for the, but
that there's going to cost you $30.
Yeah. Anymore it will be, but you just get these at any store that sells fencing supplies. They're just a little bit. It's just more awkward to use. I've got a spot in my bench where I can just slide this in there, and I can hold that solid, and then I can do that. But it's just a little bit too awkward. I do use these when I'm doing stuff in the field work. Like sometimes, if you're trapping on a fence line, and you really want to make sure that snare can't go away, you crimp your snare onto that fence. I know some guys down south, they were doing that with the guys that run the 330s and the fences. They'll crimp the permanently back cable to the fence. I won't run a 330 like that. Like I said, talk about sports. I know a lot of guys, they used to like take a roll of wire out in the woods. It works good when you're trapping in woods. But usually, I'm more trapping more the open. For that tree, you got a good trail here. You don't want to walk all the way over there to find that tree, or I hate looking for sticks to use this sport, because what happens is you grab a hot half rotten one that feels good at the time, and you start putting it out, and then it breaks. And it's just a pain in the butt. And the thing too, most of them are round, so they're gonna fit on you. But there's a trick on that. You take a stick, take your knife, and basically cut the bottom of it like half, so that squares at least one end of it, so it makes it a little harder to spin. For sport-wise, that's all. But for managing snares, I kind of figured out this one a little bit. I always love using these Sleep Easy hooks for attaching snares, but if I found going to the extra large versions, once you get the snare coiled, even with it coiled, sometimes that end once it's coiled is well, you put that, and that will, to capture the entire snare. It really makes managing your snares a lot easier, because especially when you're pulling snares, like when I'm shedding snares, they're in here. They're pretty good when they're in a bag like this, but when you start pulling them, I usually don't have those bags in with me, because I'm just grabbing everything, throwing everything in the backpack, and then pull them out like that. So even no matter how well you wrap everything, you still keep them undone somehow. So I found starting with that. There's a few of my snares that I run for my bigger snares. I'm running on my big snares that I run for beaver and coyote. I'm running these Amberg release ferrules. I do not run. Put this thing on. I do not run deer stops on my big snares because one, if I do catch a deer with on one of these snares, it's not on a spot that the deer stop is going to do you any good. Usually what's going to happen is you're going to catch them way up here or catch them by the neck. And that don't work. Yeah, because the only time the deer stop does really good is on like the coon or fox snares because they're the perfect. They're set at the perfect size and the perfect height for that foot to get right here. Deer snare, coyote snares, well, they're that big and they're that far off the ground, so the deer's not going to stick their foot in the coyote snare when it's that far off the ground. It'll at least not fall in. If you get him up here, he's going to be way up there, so you're talking. But these Amberg release ferrules, again, you have to get the right size because if you get the ones that are too big, when you crimp it, it's not crimped down far enough so your poundage is going to be off. So coyotes, you're still, no matter what breakaway system you use, either with the Ambergs or like the J-hook bag, you'll still lose some coyote out. And I had a couple beaver this year. I caught my foot because instead of getting through the air, they decided they were going to knock the deer out of the slide, and then they got on top of it. I'll probably be able to do it on this one right here. So I'm gonna make this is gonna be really gonna be a raccoon snare. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have this snare I'm gonna make this about parallel to each other. Start off, some guys do even pressure. I start a heavy I really bear down on this first part, and then I kind of taper it off. So this snare, and I'm only loaded about 6 inches of this snare. That's the start of it. That's gonna be fairly fast, but usually where I like my coon snares, just a little bit. I always want that to touch. Well, I think that. Alright, so I got that snare to almost come back to itself. So that snare is so fast, you gotta get it set just right. That's kind of slow to me. That's still kind of slow. So we'll really make that. They'll be on there. This is for demonstration purposes only. This isn't illegal snaring yet. But yeah, that's still, to me that's still a little bit slow, but
That's the way.
yeah. Well, when I get this the way I want, that's getting closer right there. I can just tell. But when you load it fast enough, that snare almost bounces back. But on the raccoon snares and my beaver snares, I want them things to be pretty fast. And another thing too, on snares, getting that lock to hang, you want it to be kind of a little bit loose. You don't want it to be act like it's bound up on the snare. That's why this is we kind of call this the gooseneck bend. Basically you do 3 3 90-degree bends on your cable. I'm going to show how it do that on this other end here. And then like I said, you always got to make sure, like, make your cable, make sure it's on that end, and then you're just bending that cable back on itself. So it just kind of looks like that. So that kind of gives you a little spot for that cable to hang. And then when you're doing these, you always got to put your stop on there first, because look what happens when you do that. You make that bend, it starts to fray the cable. So you got to have your stop. So you can't be afraid to, when you first start doing these loaded snares and stuff like that. You're going to sacrifice a lot of these and a lot of cable starts, especially when you start loading them. It takes a lot of practice to figure out what angle to load on, and then figure out what your pressure is. Like this is 5/16 1x19 cable. It takes a lot more pressure to load. You go to the one, what most of my snares are. Snare that had a beaver on it, or this is my 1x19, my 1/16 cable. It don't take a whole lot of pressure. You try to load the 3/32 cable, which most of your snare support, most of your cable extension is made of. You can it's almost impossible to overload this cable. And then Guy Snare and Hogs 1/8 cable. That's some stuff. Like the 1x19 you can load easy. The 7x7 cable you can't really load that. You can get it to load, but it's just not as fast as that. It doesn't have as much memory. That's why you use it. Why a lot of guys use it for a cable extension. All my snares are gonna have some kind of swiveling on them. Like, as long as if you don't have it's able you'll almost never get anything on it. And this is the beaver that I had. This beaver had beaver on this one, staring on the bank. There's a couple little kinks, but nothing bad ever happened to it. The closer you can put, this is the Coyote Beaver snare. The closer you can get, like that's my 10-inch loop. This one's kind of a little too long. The closer you can get, move this swivel up to the maximum loop size that you want, the less damage you're going to have on the cable and on the animal itself. When you get if you don't put a swivel on here and that animal starts twisting, you're going to have a lot more pressure. That snare is going to dig into the body of the animal you can catch, and that's where you get that big leather, the burn circle on the leather. I mean, because when they tan it, when they're breaking it, it'll almost tear apart when you get the bed. And of course, not to mention, if like the 1x19 doesn't do it as bad, but 3/32 cable, when it gets it tight, it'll rip all that guard hair out of that hide. That's why sometimes guys like to use 3/32 cable on like a beaver, because when that beaver, if he feels that snare and starts to back out, the 3/32 cable it's more grabby on the fur, and that'll actually help close that snare down. And anymore, I kind of like close to the snare. I've started using more of these. These are just kind of like the heavy duty, like what you use for fishing, except for heavier duty. These are, I think this is a 1,200 pound swivel. I've got some 900 and 600 pounds that I use more for raccoon box. These are the ones that I use for my coyote snares and my beaver snares. Most of my coyote beaver snares are interchangeable because usually I'm using them at 10-inch loops. Yeah, but where I buy most of these, I buy these from the New Sterling snare style for the most part. I don't think 17 really carries these.
I went to Walmart to get some,
Yeah.
and it wasn't for snare building. But they
Yeah,
have
it
them.
depends on your Walmart because Walmart.
It's in the
I don't think PDK snare. The only thing I know about you from I know they sell these, but you have to call them because they're not really listed on the website. But yeah, Ken does sell these. Of course, to get them at the convention is probably the easiest way. And obviously tools for snaring. Obviously, anyone that does snaring has to have cable cutters. I don't care what you're doing. Yeah, because the thing with snares, if you have to release an animal out of a snare, that won't work because that guy is a big one that doesn't have an ear stop on.
You get a legal one. You don't want to mess your legal one up.
I got this snare sits down on me pretty good. Yeah, but like when you get that snare tightened up real close, you can't, because usually what happens is you always get a kink about a quarter of an inch behind that lock, so you can't always back that lock up. A dog maybe where they don't find the snare, or a possum, well, possum half the time you just rip it right back out. A lot of times you can't. You don't want to cut. If you cut that cable back here, it might you might get because you might you can turn him loose, but that might kill that animal if you leave it like that. It's like I said, that kink right there is going to keep that snare from once released. So these are the only things really. These will actually, you get that cable in it, and it will pull that cable up into the jaws so you can cut it. And you just have to, if you're snaring, especially, you just have to have it. This is mainly what I use for, like, if you don't have like the support collars on your snares, you could do what I usually do anymore. A lot of times I can just do that, and that's usually enough for your snare. But a lot of times,
I crimp it a little more.
yeah, you do that, and you basically do what they call. Basically, you're making an L or an M, or I know these ones don't have it, but I know there's some guys, they'll take a grinder and they'll make that spot, they'll grind that down so it's a little skinnier, so they can really shrink the size. The wider you have this gap, the looser your snare is going to be. If you can make that gap smaller, you can pinch it off, and you can actually, you do it right, I can actually have that snare, I can actually support a snare with I can support a snare so it's like that, if I really want to. I've heard some guys doing some specialized uses for that, but I tried that, didn't have any luck. Of course, sideways if you're trying to snare a groundhog coming out of the hole or something like that. But I always have recruiters, because a lot of times, especially in the woods or fields, when you have your snare loop, you don't want to have nothing goes inside this loop. So if you got a piece of weed, or I'm always using these to trim down anything, because I want that perfect hole right here. So when that coyote or whatever is coming down the trail, he can go right. He can just hook his head right through that hole and go through that hole and get caught. And also, if you got any sticks or anything, that's interference with your snare. So, and then of course also, if you need to cut down blocking for your snare, you got to cut a twig to use blocking. Obviously, these are always good. Mostly I use these a lot of times. Beaver trapping is cut me past to get to the beaver, because there's some spots where I can't.
Where'd you get that kind of?
This is steel. So you go to any steel dealer, any steel dealer will carry these. So like it don't really matter, but like I think they got the spring load thing, kind of like the cable boats. Yeah, they've held up. So obviously they've been abused a lot. But, so I always keep on all my tools. I always use the silicone spray to put on the silicone's actual lubricant. Regular WD is a solvent, so it doesn't really, so it dissolves. If you got grease to lubricate, well, it's just going to dissolve your grease. But the silicone, you just put on your parts, and it keeps them worked up. It keeps everything nice and lubricated. This isn't my food grade for stuff that actually goes on my traps. I get the food grade version of it, so there's no smell at all.
I was going to ask you,
because
box traps.
I use the food grade on my traps, especially my cages.
So where do you find WD-40 silicone? Is that an Amazon item too?
You can probably get there. Almost any hardware store will have it.
I usually see the regular WD-40.
I would say probably maybe I know Lowe's will probably, your bigger, like your Lowe's, Home Depot, will probably have this stuff.
Okay.
But the food grade silicone, you just get Tractor Supply carries it, or Rural King carries it, because they sell. Because if you go where they have your deer processing stuff, they sell it.
Huh.
That's what they sell it as the lubricant for your deer processing equipment for your grinder, because you know how. Your grinder, you don't want your grinder heating up, so you put that stuff. That helps keep from cooking your meat as you're grinding it.
And use it on coyote traps, the silicone food grade.
Yep. And I use it for my cage traps too, because you don't want that heavy smell. In your cage. I mean, sometimes raccoons will still go right back in there, but. Well, I'm distance trapping. I'm catching everything. I will catch all the raccoons. I don't want to catch the 80%. I want to catch all of them. So kind of go back to the sports session. These are something I did years ago. These are actually fence supports for the wire fencing. They are pre-drilled, so it made it really easy for this. Yeah. Also, if you ever do fake snaring, which is something I don't do a whole lot of anymore, but trying to support snares on the fencing, if you're going to use wire, it's a little tricky to do off single strand. What I like to do when you're trying to stabilize a snare on fence, barbed wire or woven or high tension or woven wire. Let's see. So you got your two runs of fencing. Take this wire you go one leg over the top of this wire, and then you take a second leg, go over and that, have it like that. That stiffens up this wire, so it's not going to flop as much. You just try to do that on a single wire. Wire can't really, I mean, if they don't count this, it's kind of rusty. Stainless steel wire on, or it swings too much on that single wire, but when you put it on, add that other one, really makes it a lot more solid. Of course, like I said, if you have electrical tape, it's a lot easier, but
Those little teeny electrical
yeah,
zip ties are about the best.
yeah.